Hello, what is up, everybody? This is a TB3 podcast episode. Cody Malk, that's right.
If you know, you know.
Yeah, if you know, you know. That's it. No more getting into the number. Just a Cody Malk episode. Happy to be back. I don't know what you guys said about me. Did you write me off last week or?
No, I don't think
we said something about the holidays.
We haven't. We used to make fun stories up when someone didn't show, but now we're just like, oh yeah, the holiday season busy, or they're out of town. Some boring like that.
Yeah,
we become boring. We become soft.
Yeah, we'll have to get back into that.
We will.
New Year's resolution. But yeah, I was gone. I was out of town for a wedding. I wish there was something interesting.
You gave good luck to the Ohio State Buckeyes. You were in Ohio, and they've been playing lights out since.
I was in Ohio, yeah, while they were playing. I did get to watch that game, actually, in my hotel room.
Nice.
So, I mean, it was disappointing. We'll have to do like a CFB wrap-up episode.
We will.
So I can share my thoughts, because I will rant about the playoff, and it might not be what you think. But, yeah.
Playoffs? We're talking playoffs? Yeah, we are.
Can you believe it? Yeah, we're talking about playoffs, man. There's something so fun about, being on this show, and all we get to do is talk about our teams in the playoffs or in the postseason, bowl games, conference championships, division championships. We're the city of champs, the state of champs, maybe if you include some of the college teams we follow. But yeah, mostly city of champs, Tampa Bay. I don't think we've been dethroned yet until we all get knocked out of the playoffs and we're like, we're on like a Detroit run or a New York run where, there's just huge droughts. I don't think the run's ever over because we're always in it still. You got to knock us off.
It's been a great run for Tampa Bay fans. It really has been. It's awesome. It's awesome because there was a while, man, especially with the Bucs. Like, you tell me when I'm 13 years old, like 10 years ago, that the Bucs are going to go to the playoffs 5 years in a row and win 4 straight NFC South championships, I'd be like, Jameis Winston turned out that good?
I know, dude. 13-year-old me. I mean, what were we worrying about? Josh Freeman?
Oof.
I mean, my thing was like, we have to re-sign Josh Freeman. Like, that was the big issue of my younger years.
I know.
Letting him out the door was scary.
Getting excited about Mike Glennon's Linsanity run in November as a rookie. Ooh. Greg Schiano's nasty defense.
You're forgetting about Fitzmagic.
Fitzmagic for a couple games.
That was awesome.
Fun. Until like the Steelers game, that was a bad one.
It was.
Chris Conte getting stiff-armed.
Oh, man. I watched that play recently. Someone showed me. I was talking about Bucs Steelers.
I see it. It just brings back horrible memories, because it's one of those plays that like gets replayed on a bunch of YouTube videos.
You know what gets magnified for me was I was in high school, so obviously you got early call wake up times. And I stayed up late to watch that game, and it was just the worst ending ever. And I went to bed just sad, and I was tired the next day, and still sad.
Yeah, there's like nothing worse when your team's got a late game and you had school the next day and they lose. It just made it 20 times worse.
Yeah, when I was really young, like when I had to go to bed and like waking up to see that your team lost was just devastating. Just devastating stuff. But yeah, let's get into the game.
Let's get into the game, man, because your Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're going back to the playoffs. They they could have done it a little easier, but they got the job done, right? And let's break down the game. Sunny, beautiful day in the Tampa Bay area. Bucs wearing their beautiful red on pewter. I think the best uniform combo in the entire league. But I might be a little biased at that.
That's a good take. That's not ridiculous. It's
not ridiculous to say. A little bit of nervousness in the air because you have to win the game. You think the Bucs should do it against the lowly Saints, but you're also, kind of looking over if you got red zone on the other screen or if you pulled up the Panthers-Falcons game, just hoping maybe they lose just to be safe, if anything goes awry or goes amiss. But yeah, the Bucs, they elect to kick the ball off to the New Orleans Saints who come into town. Derek Carr, who wears mascara, I think he was hurt. Probably, I don't know. What's a soft injury?
He broke his pinky. He broke his pinky toe in the shower.
Yeah, he broke his nail or something like that, and he was out. So Spencer Rattler.
Did you guys understand that Blake Snell reference?
Oh,
broke his pinky toe in the shower.
A darn shower. Not again.
Yeah. Who did he sign with? Did he go to the Dodgers?
He's a Dodger now. Ugh. We can't. Okay. No Rays.
No Rays.
Screw them.
No Rays. It's all Buccaneers. But yeah, Spencer Rattler takes the field and leads the Saints down on a pretty drive. 11 plays, 54 yards, 5 minutes of clock. But the Bucs defense stands tall on third down, and they get the stop. The Saints would have to settle for a field goal. The Bucs, on their first drive of the game, they would only be able to match with a field goal as well. And we got a little bit of field goal battle going as the Saints take back the lead to make it 6-3. Bucs aren't able to answer on their ensuing drive, and the Saints will get a touchdown. Not looking good here to start as they go up 13-3. Bucs answer with another field goal to make it 13-6. And as time is expiring in the first half, it is 16-6 New Orleans after a field goal. And I wasn't feeling too good at this point. I was getting a little scared, seeing Twitter where everybody's panicking. When the Bucs lose, just don't go on Twitter. Don't go on Twitter. Don't go on social media. It's bad for your mental health.
Me and Colby were at the game, and it was tense.
It was. You could hear a pin drop in that stadium. It was very, very weird. Like there was points of the game where it was just silent.
I was fake cheering, just to try to cheer everybody.
It was really quiet. Tampa Bay fans, Buccaneers fans, we got to be better this weekend. That was not my favorite showing from a fan base at a football game. I'll just say that.
Yeah, I know. When your team's down, you got to give them some energy, especially with what's on the line.
The loudest point of the game, sorry to cut you off, Will. The loudest point of the game should not be when you're booing the officials. I'm sorry.
Or when a duck's on the field.
Yeah, seriously.
Because that was me last week.
Yeah. And
the loudest that stadium got was definitely that duck. It was an awesome moment. You got a block punt and a touchdown, but it definitely got the loudest when the duck came on because I don't think everybody realized what had happened with the block punt. Like, everybody's still looking at the duck. I was getting on my phone to take a video of it. I just hear the cannons fire, and I'm like, oh, my goodness, we scored. How did that happen? Yeah, anyways, we get to the second half. Season on the line. What are the Buccaneers going to do? Well, they answer with a beautiful touchdown drive. Payne Durham getting some action as Cade Otton's been banged up. Payne Durham gets a touchdown to make it 16-13. Saints on their opening drive of the second half punt, and can the Bucs take the lead? No. Baker Mayfield on 3rd and 9 at the Tampa Bay 26-yard line would throw over the middle, and I believe it was tipped. I think it was tipped, intercepted, and the Saints were only able to get a field goal off that as a Bucs defense locks in the second half. They locked in, only allowed a field goal there, but it's 19-13. Panic's starting to set in because after they scored that, there's about 5 minutes left in the third quarter, down by a touchdown. Something's got to happen. Next drive, Bucs get a punt. Aren't able to do anything in 3 plays. Give it right back to the Saints, but the Bucs defense steps up again, forces another punt, and that's when the Bucs go 82 yards down the field in 12 plays. And Baker Mayfield would pass to Jaquan McMillan for the touchdown to take the lead.
Jalen
McMillan to take the lead. Beautiful pass, rolls out to his right, and throws an absolute dot. McMillan gets both feet in bounds. Probably one of the plays of the year. If you're going to top 10, one of the plays of the year. And the Bucs take the lead 20-19. Can the Saints answer back on their next drive? They're unable to. Bucs get the ball back with 7 minutes left, get a beautiful long drive. But Mike Evans only needs 5 yards to get 1,000, and Bucky Irving runs in a touchdown at the 11-yard line. And it's looking like the Mike Evans streak of 1,000 yards is going to come to an end, but the Bucs get another stop when the Saints have one last chance of making the game close. They would need a 2-point conversion. At that point, the Bucs get the ball back, and it took one play. Mike Evans, a nice little out route, 2 yards. He needed 5, but he ended up getting, 8? 8 on that. So he gets the 1,000 yards. The stadium erupts. That was a magical moment.
It was loud.
Ball spikes the turf. Everybody runs on the field celebrating. They didn't even need to take another play. That's just a perfect way to end it. Your Bucs go to the playoffs on a magical Sunday.
Yeah, I think we should let's get into it. Mike Evans, man. What a moment. Me and Joel, like Will mentioned, we were there. One of the coolest things I've seen live in a stadium. It's very awesome. I think got to give props, obviously, first and foremost, to Mike Evans. What a guy. We hear, even me and Joel listening to the post game, we hear this from everyone. What a great guy. Does so much for the Tampa Bay community. Had the chance to go maybe chase a bag somewhere else, but chose to stay with the city that drafted him, stay with the team that he's been with for so long, the team that he's been through, lowest of lows, some terrible teams, still produce 1,000 yards every season. And then he comes back, helps lead this team into prominence, into 5 straight playoff appearances, and still, every year, missing 3 games this year, still gets 1,000 yards. It's impressive. Hats off to Todd Bowles and Liam Cohen to let him have that moment. Could have easily taken a knee and said, hey, we want to win the game, with playoffs on the line. But when this guy does so much for his team, he means so much, you do that for him. And that was so awesome. It was a magical Sunday. I agree.
Yeah, there's nobody more deserving.
Yeah.
There's nobody who's worked harder, who's been through the highs and lows of a franchise. He is the ultimate GOAT of GOATs. That's Mike Evans. And it just shows how much the team cares. I was watching, Baker's post-game conference, and, just even the look on his face, too, like watching the replay of his face when Bucky scored, and it's like pure panic from Baker. It's like, we just sealed the game. We sealed the game. We're going to the playoffs, and everybody's upset that we didn't get Mike that extra 5 yards to get the 1,000. And then immediately what he said in the post-game, met up with Cohen and Bowles and Mike, and they went through and they said, what's the best way to get him open and get him that 5 yards? Because, that touchdown to Bucky only happened because the Saints were doubling Mike on that play, which is, what do you expect from the Saints? Yeah. What do you expect from them?
Nothing to play for, just to
nothing to play for,
you guys got to play spoiler somewhere.
Well, even Mike Evans said in his press conference that they knew they were trying their darndest to not let him get it. They were saying, don't let 13 get the ball. Make sure, I got inside leverage, I got inside coverage, doubling. They did not want him to get it on them. The Saints did not. So, yeah, definitely even more impressive. Great play call by Liam Cohen. That one that you're mentioning that Bucky Irving scored on, that was kind of a deep shot, looking to get him the touchdown and the record in the corner of the end zone. I think it was better decision to get him going in the short intermediate passing game, to get the ball in his hands and let him run after the catch, which he is underrated at doing so. So great play call.
Yeah, and shout out to Todd Bowles for green-lighting it too.
For sure.
You look at other coaches in the league. You look at the Saquon Barkley in Philadelphia. He was going for a record too, and he was benched for rest by Sirianni, and a lot of people were unhappy with that. So shout out Bowles. You're gonna be etched in history. For all you haters out there.
Look at the Dallas Cowboys. They cost Cooper Rush $500,000 by just not starting him. $500,000. So not every organization does that. That was a class act move by the Buccaneers organization, top to bottom.
And you can hate Bowles all you want, but you're putting something could happen. Strip sack, fumble, they score a touchdown.
Pick six.
Yeah, pick six, score a touchdown, somehow magically get the 2, and then all of a sudden you're going into overtime, stunned. But shout out Bowles, man.
Yeah,
having guts.
For now, it was a job saver for sure. It's like we're all praising him, Monday morning quarterback.
His winning the game was his job saver, but I agree that is.
But we another side of the coin had he not got it.
The proof is in the pudding. We talk all the time. The players love Todd Bowles. He's a players coach. Everyone they would die for Todd Bowles. They go to war for him every Sunday, and this is why, man. He cares about his players. He cares about their history. He cares about their records. He cares about each of these guys individually. In this locker room, they care about one another. You look at the sideline when Mike Evans gets this. They are just going ecstatic. They are just so excited for Mike Evans that everyone knew what was going on. Everyone was okay with it. It says a lot about the teammates who, would sacrifice, having the easier path to victory so your guy can make history. So I think it just showed how tight-knit and the culture that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have.
Mm-hmm.
Are we ready to move on to the rest of the offense?
Yeah, we can get to the offense here.
I think, offensively it was a mixed bag, man. I think, first half, obviously you only score 6 points. Nothing was really going well in the first half. I think this was another showing by the Bucs offensive line where the speed kind of killed them. The New Orleans Saints had a really good game plan. It was to, eliminate the quick hitters to the perimeter. I think the Bucs tried, 3 or 4 screens in that first half. sniffed out by the New Orleans Saints every single time. A pop pass, a screen, stuff like that. The misdirection was not working. Got to give a lot of credit to those Saints players. Again, something that people don't mention, this is, a lowly Saints team, but a lot of those guys on that team, they're fighting to have a job in the NFL next year. They're fighting to, make more money. They're fighting for their NFL lives. So they came out, played a really good game plan. Darren Rizzi probably won't be there next year. Had the boys fired up to play. Got to give them credit. And I think defensively they did a really good job. But offensively, I think the story of this game to me, offensively, game plan-wise, was Baker Mayfield's legs. I think Baker Mayfield, this was not his best passing game. 21 for 32, 221 yards, 2 touchdowns, and that interception like we mentioned. And, that's not Baker's best game. He missed some throws. I think about that one in the third quarter to Mike Evans. That would have probably got him the record and maybe a touchdown while he was at it. Definitely not his best throw. Was missing some throws over the middle, just, easy throws that we've seen Baker hit. And to me, again, you can say what you want about Baker, but he's a warrior, and he's going to do whatever he can to win the game. And what won us this game was his legs, man. Huge third down conversions, huge plays to set up manageable third downs with his legs. And I think that was the story of the game for the offense for me personally, just the fight and the toughness by Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I think, like you said, the Saints did have a great game plan. On the box score, it looks like the Bucs had a great day rushing the ball, but I think the Saints did a great job shutting that down in the first half, and especially getting to the quarterback. I think, probably pretty close to the Dallas game. This was not a great showing by the offensive line, and like you said, Baker scrambling and whatnot. Shout out to him, but that's also because the offensive line was not able to hold up protection for very long, forcing Baker to step up and scramble. But that's when you have somebody like Baker who's not afraid to take hits. He's going to put his body on the line. He's going to get those first downs. And I think for me, the biggest thing I saw from the takeaways I saw is, Baker leading the charge, but third down conversions. Mm-hmm. Third down conversions were huge in this game for the offense. The Bucs went 10 for 16 on third downs, and you're looking at some of them, 3rd and 14, 3rd and 6. These are huge conversions, and I think that was one of the big reasons why the Bucs were able to win this game. It's coming up with huge plays when it mattered the most.
I agree. And, third down conversions have been huge for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this whole season. They are number one in the NFL in third down conversion rates. They are converting over 50%, 50.93%, first in the NFL. They have been amazing. And you're right, Will. These were not third and manageable. I think we talked about it last week, me and Joel, where you got to give the Bucs a lot of credit for converting the third downs, but also getting the third and manageable. That was not always the case. I look at that last drive that saw away the game that culminated with a Bucky Irving touchdown. I think it was on third down as well. That there was some third and longs that were converted. One with Baker's legs. I think it was 3rd and 14. I think there was a 3rd and 8 or 9 to Mike Evans, and right at the sticks, man. Huge conversions. You got to give credit to Baker. You got to give credit to the offensive line for not even on their not their best day, which I agree. They fought. They were tough. They got better as the game went on. I think really for me, I think a big weakness for the offensive line was the rushing game, especially perimeter. Bucky Irving just was not able to get out to the outside because the New Orleans Saints was kind of slanting inside of that offensive line. So I think that could be something that we work on, maybe trying to, attack the middle of the defense, try to run behind Big Graham Barton a little bit more, maybe just block a little bit better. Block it better. We'll get into our keys of the game next week, but I do think the rushing attack will have a better day against the Commanders coming up. Mm-hmm. And I think we said his name because of that touchdown, but we got to give props to him. Jalen McMillan, man. This rookie class, these are two dynamic weapons in Bucky Irving and Jalen McMillan. And even Devin Culp, the rookie, is showing to be a dynamic weapon with a couple huge catches in this game, a couple huge catches in last week's game. But Jalen McMillan, 5 catches, 74 yards, a touchdown. That is 5 straight games for Jalen McMillan with a touchdown. I think it's 7 touchdowns in 5 games. That is the second longest streak of touchdowns in consecutive games in NFL history by a rookie. The person ahead of Jalen McMillan is pretty darn good. His name is Randy Moss. So got to give a lot of credit to J-Mac. When Chris Godwin went down, Mike Evans went down, we were searching for the answer. J-Mac was, had a slow start. He was banged up, but he is coming on strong when we need him the most. Great route running, great hands, huge catches. The biggest catch of the day was probably that 4th down conversion, over his shoulder. Apparently he's shooting guns when he was not, but it is what it is.
That was so ridiculous.
Yeah, it was a
that was a first down thing, and everyone knows. I think it's kind of dumb. I really think it's dumb. Like everybody has some kind of like first down celebration now.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Texans have one
Yeah.
and this and that. It's dumb to begin with, but to throw a flag on that's ridiculous.
I agree. But yeah, it was a huge catch. It ended up not biting the Bucs in the butt.
Well,
but
that was the biggest ball don't lie moment
Yeah.
in history because they called that and then the next play was a touchdown.
yeah, so I guess we could even say that for offense because I think it was a lot of offensive penalties. But this was probably the Bucs' most penalized game of the season. They had 12 penalties for 90 yards. Are we concerned moving forward, or do we think this was an aberration of a game penalty-wise?
It concerns me with the offensive line because there was a lot of false starts and whatnot and stuff like that. Like, you can't have that happen at home, especially when the crowd wasn't that into it and you're false starting and setting yourselves back right off the rip. I hate seeing that at home. That kind of penalty at home, that's unacceptable. I'm not too worried though. Again, some of them were dumb.
Some of those holdings were not holdings, by the way.
Oh no,
Yeah.
no way. I think Barton had one.
Mm-hmm. There's one on Brederson, too, they called, and I was like, come on, dude. There was a couple.
Yeah, it was like where as soon as the Saints D lineman put his arm up, the signal, like, oh, I got held, like, doesn't necessarily mean it was a hold. I think the refs were trying to keep it entertaining, man.
They were quick to pull their flags out because even on the other side, there's 8 penalties for 77 yards for the Saints. So they were trying to make it a little bit of a ref show. But, yeah, I'm not worried about it, too. Like you said, Will, I think the pre-snap penalties, I don't think this was the most focused game the Bucs have had all season. So I think with a little bit more mental focus, sharper on both sides of the football, I think those penalties will go away. I think the holdings will not be called as much in the postseason because they're going to let the boys play. And I think some of those holdings were very soft. So I don't think it's going to be a problem moving forward. Joel?
Yeah, I would agree. Like the whole Sunday thing, I said that during the game. I was like, what's going on here? But overall, I'm not concerned. Like we've been saying, the Bucs can play their best game and their worst game 1 week from another. So
yeah,
it looks like we're on track to play our best game next week.
They truly do play up and down to their competition.
I think that's a problem too. I mean, you never want to, and I know nobody's ever saying that in the locker room, but I mean, you could clearly tell from this game, the Bucs went in thinking the Saints would roll over, and the Saints, that's a bitter rival in our division. They're
playing spoiler.
Yeah, they're trying to play spoiler. They're pretty full of themselves still. I wonder if Cam Jordan's still talking smack.
He's been getting flamed, dude. He was on freezing cold takes.
Yeah, but awesome. I just think Bucs expect them to roll over and they didn't. But yeah, I don't see that happening next week.
Yeah, another solid game from Bucky Irving. Again, did the best with what he could. Got those extra yards, got that touchdown catch. Shout out Buck. Are we ready to go to defense?
Yeah.
Defensively, I think this defense, it's been battered, it's been bruised, it's been banged up, but you got to give this defense a lot of credit. I'm sure a lot of you guys at home have heard this, but I'm going to say it again. In the last 5 games of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers season, they have allowed 9 points total in the second half. That is less than 3 points a game. That's about 2 points per second half the Bucs defense has allowed. So Todd Bowles, love him or hate him, he is making the adjustments needed to go. And, in this game, I think the adjustment was tighten up the coverage, man. Get rid of those easy throws and those outlet throws for Spencer Rattler. And for me, I'll just bring this up and I'll see if you guys agree with me or not. I do think that the secondary, it's up and down, but in my opinion, I think the secondary played a very, very solid game. I think the problem that stemmed from the first half struggles for this Bucs defense is they just were not getting home to the quarterback. Spencer Rattler had time to, go through his first, second, third, fourth reads and finally dump it down or find a receiver who was finally getting open. It's hard to cover for that long. Obviously, I look at Josh Hayes. He had 11 tackles. Obviously, that means he was, having to come up and tackle because his man was getting the ball, getting a catch. But he's still making the tackles, solid tackles, two-handed tackles. Obviously, he's a backup. He's really a third stringer because Bryce Hall was supposed to be your backup coming into the season. And for me, I think that the secondary was really good. On the other side, Zion McCollum was fantastic, man. He had 6 tackles and 4 pass breakups. Zion McCollum was terrific, broke up a touchdown in the end zone with a great play in the first half. This dude was phenomenal, one of his best games in a while, and mostly one of his best games because they were targeting him. He's been really, really good. I was really proud of what he did, especially without Jamel Dean on the other side.
Yeah, and he should have had a pick six, just kind of jumped on it a little too early. But yeah, I think, the thing I took away is, we talked about the Saints. You said it earlier, they're playing for jobs. They're playing to be on the roster next year. So they're going to come up with the best game plan they could. And they look at the Bucs, a lot of injuries. No Whitehead, no Antoine Winfield, no Jamel Dean. And so they know the Bucs are going to go into a softer zone coverage. We've seen the Bucs do that a lot this year when they've had injuries in the secondaries, and they were able to capitalize on it. They gave, quick reads, short throws, a lot of check downs, a lot of outside routes for Spencer Rattler to make it easy on him, and it worked very well in the first half, as you were clearly able to see from watching the game. But, I completely agree. And this is once again to all the Todd Bowles haters out there. Like, here's your coach. Yeah, the Bucs have had injuries too on defense. I feel like we focus it so much on the offense with injuries, when I feel like the defense has had it worse the entire season. They've had it completely worse. But there's never, we always make the excuse, well, they don't have Chris Godwin. They didn't have Mike Evans for this many weeks. Well, when have the Bucs had a healthy defense outside of the week one? I mean, seriously. But here's your coach making the adjustments and absolutely playing lights out in the second half. And you think too, I think the turning point of the game after that interception by the Bucs, the defense comes out, holds them to 3. Mm-hmm. Next drive is the incredible 5-yard punt. And what does the defense do? They get another stop, keeping the Bucs in the game, and that's when the Bucs took over and took control from there. So shout out to Todd Bowles for this defensive performance.
Yeah, and for me, someone who stood out to me in this game, just jumping off, the field because I was at the game, was Yaya Diaby. I mean, Yaya Diaby, we've been saying this all season, man. He's been playing good. He's kind of like, the Alabama of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's like the best hypothetical player there ever was because he's getting these quarterback pressures. He's getting, in there. He's in position to make the plays, but he just was not able to finish a lot of these things. But in this game, I mean, his presence was felt and known. He had 5 tackles. He had 1 sack, 4 tackles for loss, and 4 quarterback hits. This dude was all over the place, making great plays, shedding blocks in the run game, in the pass game, all over Spencer Rattler. I mean, this was the game we've been looking for Yaya Diaby the whole season, and this dude just plays his best football at the end of the season. He's like a lot of the other Buccaneers, but man, just great stuff from Yaya.
It was very fun to chant his name at the game.
Yeah, can't say enough about him. Another steal for Jason Light in the draft, and I want to see this pass rush continue in the playoff game. But I think one thing too, one thing that excites me is, Yaya playing great, Cansey, Logan Hall, all these guys. But seeing Shaq Barrett come back, he didn't really light up the stat sheet, obviously, but you saw in some third down situations, and he was in for most of that drive on the Saints' last drive of the game. But when he's in there, just his presence alone, you're having the Saints bracket him with a tight end, give him a double team. And, one of those plays specifically, you have Cansey come in scot-free. So just adding him, you're hoping you can see these guys step up and gives them a little bit more freedom to make a play on the quarterback.
I completely agree. And speaking of presence, man, this one was a game where I felt the presence of Vita Vea. I think that he completely took away the interior run game for the Saints. They were running to the outside, pitches, outside handoffs, because they could not run up the middle. Vita Vea, he had a sack, he had a tackle for loss. He was fantastic. He was phenomenal, and I think as we get into the playoffs, his ability to kind of just take away the interior run game, especially as we move forward, is going to be such a huge key for the Bucs defense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sack was awesome because Rattler I thought he was going to break free, and then Vita just came through a brick wall and just sandwiches him. That was awesome.
And then he does the Cam Ward Sally. That was
what was with the Cam Ward Sally on
really
that?
Funny. That is really, really funny. I miss the lawnmower, though. I'll say it. I miss when he started up the lawnmower.
Yeah,
I was doing
it just caught me by surprise, dude. Just so
such
random.
A funny guy. He really is such a funny guy. I think solid games from Levante David as per usual. I felt this was one of the better games I think I've seen from KJ Britt. I thought he made some good plays. He was in the right positions. Saw a lot of JJ Russell as well, though. That substituting and rotating of those two players, if we can get that right, that will be a huge plus for our inside linebacker room. But yeah, I mean, really, really good defense. Like we mentioned, great job in the second half. I think Todd Bowles did a better job scheming it up. The blitzes were getting home. That was kind of a big key in the first half too. Nothing was getting home the Rattler. They were picking up all the blitzes. As we move forward, we're going to have blitzes get home for this defense to be successful.
I think that's the most encouraging thing. The second halves we've been seeing throughout these recent weeks. Like, I think that's something they can take into the playoffs. Like, they're in the mindset where they're going to say, all right, we're going to play better in the second half, regardless how good the first half was. Second half's going to be better. And, like, I'm taking that with a lot of confidence into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, you even look at the Bucs in their last 7 games, 5 times they've been trailing at halftime. I think that's true, and they're 6-1 in those games. So they've done a really good job of second halves, of adjusting, huge second halves too. They're not just squeaking out wins like this one. They win by 8, but I mean, you look back to the Chargers game, you're down at halftime and you win 40-17. I mean, these are huge second halves. These are huge pushes from the Bucs, and I agree. I think it's going to be great going into the playoffs.
Thanks for some exciting football.
And you don't want to become a second half team. My point being, you don't want to play sloppy like we saw with Dallas, like we saw with the Saints. I mean, how many games where the Bucs looked terrible in the first half and, maybe a miraculous comeback in the second, or they run away with it in the second. But, now we get to playoff time. You want to build a lead, and so then you can bring in that defense who's been lights out in the second half, and then they smother them. That's what I want to see going into the playoffs. Strong first half from the offense, and the defense smothers the opponents in the second half.
I do apologize. It's 4 out of their last 6 games they've been trailing at halftime, and they're 5-1 in those games. But yeah, should we talk about this playoff matchup?
Yeah, it is a familiar foe taking you back all the way to week 1 of this season. That is the Washington Commanders. Feel bad doing it to my boy JD, man. You look back last week, Bucs needed the Falcons to lose to kind of take control of the division, make it easier for us this weekend for a win-and-in scenario. And, Jaden Daniels delivered, man. He delivered, beat the Falcons for us. Did it the worst way possible, having me sweating. Having me sweat.
It was an exciting game.
But he did it. And, the Bucs have to face him again. And I like a game like this. I think you look at how this playoffs could have shaked out. We could have been the 4th seed. We could have been playing the loser of Detroit or Minnesota. Brian Flores in Minnesota, that defensive coordinator, he's a demon. That Vikings defense is no fun to play against. And you look at their offense, the Sam Darnold resurgence. And then the Lions, man, high-scoring team. We've played them before multiple times. We played them 3 times in the last year. Beat us twice last season. This year we get a win. But it was a tough game to get through. I'm happy we didn't get to play them. I think this is probably the most favorable matchup for the Bucs. But you can't take any game lightly. Once you get to the playoffs, there's a whole nother ball game. But the good thing is the Bucs are going up against Jaden Daniels. He's a rookie. It's going to be his first time playing in the playoffs. There's going to be some nerves. Bucs were able to have some success against him in week 1. So I think, my initial key is you got to get him rattled. You got to put pressure on him. I think the Bucs were able to do a great job last time keeping him in the pocket, stopping him from making plays with his legs. And I think, if the Bucs can do that again, they're going to have a good chance in this game.
Yeah, you mentioned it. This is Jaden Daniels' first NFL playoff game. Obviously, I don't know if the crowd's going to affect him. He played in big-time college football atmospheres. Those are louder than NFL ones. But it's his first playoff game. Big, brightest lights, wildcard weekend. What is he going to do when the pressure's on the most? He's going to go back to old reliable, and that is his legs. And that is what jumps out to me, just like you said, Will. I think the Bucs defense against Jaden Daniels' scrambles and design quarterback runs is the biggest key for this Buccaneers team, honestly, in general. I look back to week 1. Jaden Daniels had 16 carries for 88 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. That is not great. And I look back at the Bucs season, right? So I looked at 4 games against running quarterbacks. There's no really, criteria for this. This is just kind of who I deemed as running quarterbacks. You got Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, and Jalen Hurts. Those are 4 running quarterbacks. The Bucs have allowed on average 51.75 rushing yards per game to those rushing quarterbacks. So this is a area that the Bucs have struggled with in the past, and I think, like you said, keeping Jaden Daniels in the pocket. He's going to want to scramble. He's going to want to make those explosive plays. You got to just collapse it on him. You got to make a wall and collapse the pocket on him, or this is going to be a long night for the Bucs defense. It really is, because, again, you want to get pressure on him, but you don't want to break down and get in situations where Jaden Daniels is running for 80 to 90 to 100 yards, because, this guy, he's second in the NFL in quarterback rushing yards. He's behind only Lamar Jackson. He has over 800 yards rushing on the season. You gotta keep him in the pocket. You gotta make him beat you with his arm, because we even look at the game we watched against the Falcons. Jaden Daniels' legs was killing them. It was
especially in overtime,
and it was in huge plays too. 3rd, 4th down, it was Jaden Daniels running. If we can stop that, this Bucs defense is going to have their way. Washington is still not fully developed. They still don't have as many weapons as they probably would like to have with Jaden Daniels. They still probably don't have the offensive line they would like to have. But Jaden Daniels is a special player, and that's why they're in this position. They're 12-5 after being a lottery team last year, after being the 2nd overall pick. You got to keep him in the pocket. You got to make him beat you with his arm.
Mm-hmm. And I think the biggest thing is the Bucs were able to do that in week 1. They held the Commanders running backs to 50 total yards rushing, and they held the Commanders to 25% third down efficiency in the first game. So that means they were able to shut down the run, forcing Jaden Daniels to pass, keep him in the pocket, keeping him to 3rd and long situations. And partially that was because of the pass rush. Guys like, Savaje Dennis was huge in that game. Joe Tryon-Chorwinka was also huge in that game. So it's going to be big for the Bucs defense to get a pass rush and contain.
Another key, going back to that first game, is you mentioned the Washington running backs did not have many rushing yards total. They were actually doing more of their damage in the air. Washington running backs Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler, who is obviously not there, but they have another receiving running back. And Chris Rodriguez is their other running back, I think is his name. They had 101 yards receiving. So that was definitely some screens, some checkdowns. So, again, initial coverage was pretty good, but again, you got to get home to Jaden Daniels. You got to get pressure on the quarterback.
And
McNichols, he's very good out of the backfield. They're going to want to throw him the ball out of the backfield. So you got to be able to account for the running backs, like we said. Running backs and tight ends have been an area where the Bucs have struggled to cover, just based on the lack of coverage skills from their linebackers, from KJ Britt, from JJ Russell, from even Levante David at times, and even like their safeties have not been great. Tyke Smith seemed to have a weaker game against the Saints, so I'm looking to see a bounce back from him. But yeah, quarterback run and running backs through the air were what killed the Bucs defensively. But again, Washington only scored 20 points. Again, 25% on 3rd down.
One of them was in garbage time too.
And compared to the Bucs on 3rd down in this game, who are 9 for 13, and as we flip, this game for the Bucs offensively is about establishing the run game. I'm looking at Washington right now. The run defense is not good. Their run defense, they are 30th in the NFL in opposing rush yards per game. They're allowing 137.5 rushing yards per game. The Bucs are averaging about 150 on the ground. This is a game where Bucky Irving, hopefully some more Rashad White, even Sean Tucker, who got a big run in the end of that game against the Saints. These is where they need to feast. And Liam Cohen needs to stick with the run game, establish it early. Don't put too much pressure on Baker. That is an important thing. And establishing the rush game, which they should, is a key for the Bucs offense on Sunday.
Yeah, gotta get the run game going. I think for Cohen going into this game is stick with what works. If something's working, keep going at it. Keep putting the pressure on them. I think looking back at that game, Bucky Irving really hadn't made a name for himself yet.
He had a couple big runs.
A couple big runs, yeah. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do in his first playoff game. So I'm hoping a big game for Buck.
Dude, I can just see it now. There's going to be an electric Bucky Irving run that's going to break the internet. Some 40-yard run where he breaks some tackles, maybe hits him with a juke move. That's inevitable, man. That's going to happen.
We get the crowd super loud. Gets
Yeah.
the Commanders shaken up. Makes sense.
And one last key that we got to mention is the history setter, the Big Mike. Big Mike Evans is coming off setting a record, 1,000 yards again. However, he's facing an old foe. Yes, you heard that right. It's Marshawn Lattimore. Marshawn Lattimore, if you guys did not know, was traded to the Washington Commanders at the trade deadline. We have a lot of history with Marshawn Lattimore based on his time with the Saints. Mike Evans, Marshawn Lattimore. That is one of the best rivalries in sports. It might be better than Duke, North Carolina. It might be better than Ohio State, Michigan. It's a good rivalry. These guys do not like each other. And overall, man, it's been a pretty even matchup. There's been ups and downs. Mike's had some downs, probably slight edge to Marshawn Lattimore over the course of their career. But overall, Mike Evans averages about 50.8 yards per game in games he's covered by Marshawn Lattimore. Again, not too bad, but this is your number one option. This is the guy that we've leaned on this season with Chris Godwin gone. So we need Mike Evans to keep his cool, keep his composure, and have a better game, because even this week, this year, Marshawn Lattimore covered Mike Evans, and he only had 34 yards. And I think it was week 5 or 4 or 5. So got to do a better job, Mike Evans, keeping composure and with results on the field against Marshawn.
If he plays, though, Lattimore might chicken
banged
out.
up?
Yeah, he didn't play against Dallas with a hamstring injury. Okay. And he's softer than Sharman, so might not see him out there.
That'll be a huge blow for Washington, if not. I guess some injury updates. Todd Bowles came out and said that Chris Godwin and Savaji Dennis will not be coming back even for a deep playoff run. We had some hopes.
Was he bluffing?
I don't know. Maybe. We will have to see.
I know for a fact Godwin wouldn't come back.
I've heard
Dennis
I thought was going to come back. I really did. I guess shoulder injuries. That's tough.
Well, let's just keep winning games and find out. There's no way Godwin's coming back though. There's no possible way.
But some guys that have been banged up: Jamel Dean, Antoine Winfield, Kate Otten. I know for a fact Antoine Winfield and Kate Otten, they both practiced last week, so it seems like
they should be good
to go. Jamel Dean, I don't know exactly the extent of his injury, but hoping he will be able to go too. Again, that's also kind of a reason why I think maybe the locker room wasn't in a great spot. It was kind of like, oh, we're resting these guys, we're not taking them seriously, yada, yada, yada. I think maybe if they had to play them, they would have played them last week. It's just my opinion. Anything else? 0 turnovers by either team in this game in the week 1. So a big turnover against the playoffs could be the key. Don't want to have the big mistake by Baker or by Rachaad White losing the ball.
Yeah.
Ready to predict?
Yeah, I think I'm ready.
Let me paint a little history here. All right, so the last time the Washington, I'm gonna call them Redskins, cancel me if you want. Last time the Washington Redskins won a playoff game was in 2006, against the Bucs. So they're hungry.
Well, the last time they
lost a playoff game was against the Bucs.
Yeah.
So
there we go. It could go both ways.
It could go there, yeah, either way.
On NBC.
Sunday Night Football.
Which
might have been a Taylor Heineke legacy game, but Tom Brady was just a little bit better.
Yeah, we were destined for bigger things there.
Dang straight.
They're on a let me count this. 4-game losing streak, 4-year losing streak of playoffs.
Let's make it 5, baby.
1-4 in the last 4 playoff appearances.
Yeah, I think of this game, and I hope it kind of plays out like that. Is when Jalen Hurts, young Jalen Hurts, NFC East comes to town to Tampa Bay, his first playoff action, and the Bucs absolutely shut him down. I'm hoping to see the same thing. Young Jaden Daniels, you root for the guy, Pretty exciting stuff this year. He could win Rookie of the Year, but, it might just be too much to come play in Ray J and face this Bucs defense. So I'm hoping the same thing happens.
And with that being said?
I think the Bucs win this game. I think they win this game. Another playoff win for Coach Bowles. My ride or die, man. I think what am I thinking here? I think it's 34-27. Bucs get the win. It's going to be high scoring, but the Bucs are going to shut it down when they need to the most. Bucs win 34-27.
Joel?
I gotta go negative. I'm not feeling.
Are we serious?
I'm not feeling this year. I gotta be honest. You don't want a whole panel going all Bucs. I think the Redskins want it. I know they're young, but that might be their motivation to win. I'm going to go 34-24. I'll plan on being wrong, but I'll be the contrary.
Joel's negative picks haven't been great this year.
They haven't been good this year. So take that as hopeful. I'm probably 1-5.
I'm with you, Will. I think that was a great comparison. The Eagles game at home. I think it's going to be similar. I really do. In a big game, in a playoff game, I do trust Todd Bowles' scheme. I think these guys will come back, and I think this is going to be a difficult scheme for Jaden Daniels to overcome in his first playoff game ever. I think Baker Mayfield is hungry. I think the rushing game, again, I think the fact that Washington's rushing defense is so weak kind of makes it easy pickings for the Bucs offense, honestly. If you can't stop the Bucs running game, you're not going to stop the Bucs, and I don't think they will. And I think the Bucs will do a good job stopping Jaden Daniels, limit him to under 50 yards rushing, and that should be enough. I think the Bucs will win 27-17.
And we should have a correspondent there. We're going to try.
You're going to be there? I might be there.
One of us will be there, most likely.
We will try our darndest. Real quick, again, this is Bucs playoff season. It's hard to focus on the Lightning, especially when they go for a road trip and go 0-3 on the West Coast, losing 2-1 to the San Jose Sharks, 2-1 to the Los Angeles Kings, and 4-1 to the Ducks. Any quick thoughts, gentlemen?
I gotta stop playing on Sundays.
Facts.
If you want me to watch the game, please stop playing on Sundays.
Yeah, I mean, tough road trip. Really tough road trip. I'll go game by game real quick and just give my thoughts as a whole. We look at the first game against the Sharks, night game. So the Bolts are coming in, it's 11:30 p.m. their time, Eastern time, God's time for the start. And, I think, the Lightning played a solid game. They got unlucky. I think the goalie for the Sharks, man, they just ran into, I guess, his golden night because he actually had an insane game, a bunch of stops. I want to pull up the saves here. That was what, Friday? No, it was Thursday. Yeah.
He did? Yeah, and I mean,
where's the stats here?
Yeah, that was kind of the theme of the road trip too. Is kind of goalies kind of taking away good, well played games for the Lightning.
Yeah, 24 saves, Askarov, and man, even the goals. This was just so. I think the last game wasn't the best, the Ducks, but the first game, the Lightning got so unlucky because the first Sharks goal, McDonough kind of screens Vasilevsky, gives up the goal. And then the second one to take the lead, Esimon's taking the puck down to the Sharks zone and trips on a broken stick that breaks up the play. And then the Sharks go score on that. And then, oh my goodness, I mean, Nick Paul, great opportunity to tie the game. And Askarov dives across the other side of the paint to make a glove save. It was just completely unlucky. They had plenty of scoring opportunities, and it's not like they played necessarily bad in that game. They just could not get past the goalie for the life of them. And then even Barclay Gaudreau, he was a Shark.
I did not know that.
I did know that.
Get him on the contender, man.
Yeah, he had a breakaway chance, and Vasilevsky kept them in it with a huge stop there to keep that lead at 2-1. Weren't able to come back, and we look at the Kings game. This was the worst one of all because the Lightning outshot them, outplayed them, and they once again just could not get a goal to save their life. Even I think the worst part is a minute 10 into the game, Hedman gets a goal on the power play, and they don't score for the rest of the night. Absolutely brutal.
What was the game where the team scored on the shootout on the face-off? I think it might
that was the Kings.
That was the
another
Kings.
Just lucky, lucky goal, just right off the face-off.
Goal.
Yep, it was a tying goal right off the face-off. And in that game too, more unluckiness as the Kings take the lead after Nick Perbix gets the pass at the top of the key and falls down. Kings win the race for the puck and score. The second goal to take the lead there. So a lot of unluckiness. And I think with the Ducks, man, completely outplayed in the first period. Awful play by the Lightning. Just letting the Ducks get into their zone. slicing through them like it's butter. Give up 2 goals there. And, they play better for the rest of the game, but it just wasn't enough. You shouldn't have spotted them 2 goals there in the first period. A 2023-esque game for the Lightning there.
With the Kings game, I can never remember how to pronounce the goalie name, but he's the goalie for the Avalanche.
Yeah, it was Kemper. It's Darcy Kemper.
Yeah.
So that made it awful too.
He had 33 saves.
Yeah, 33 saves. Yeah, the Lightning just outshot them. They played a great – I've never seen I've seen games like that, but it's just one of those where it's like you feel like the Lightning should have won that entire game from start to finish, and they lose. So
yeah, I mean they were equal or outshooting their opponents in all 3 of these games on the road trip, and they scored 3 goals in 3 games and lose all 3 of them. So I don't think it's time to hit the panic button. It is a little bit – this team's very streaky. We've seen where they go on the win streaks, they go on the lose streaks, but they seem to kind of have made their winning streaks longer than their losing streaks, as at least thus far. They'll head back home. I think they'll be able to bounce back and play some better hockey moving forward. Again, I don't think the schedule has done them any favors, but the schedule seems to get a little bit weirder. But that's the last 2 weekends. The Lightning have had to play Saturday and Sunday back-to-backs. I don't know who made that schedule, but it sucks. Sucks buns.
I feel like their schedule's been weird.
It's been so weird. We talked about this last week. It is so odd. Odd, yeah. But they're coming back home. A nice home stand for the Tampa Bay Lightning. We're all good on these last games?
Yeah, a couple more things.
Yeah.
I just think one thing I saw that kind of carried through the whole weekend was just sloppy passing. I think that's why the power play struggled a lot, as they just weren't able to be as crisp with their passing and set up big shots for Gensel and Cooch and Point and whatnot. They just were not able to be sharp on that aspect. So that's got to clean up. Second off, I think, one thing that sticks out to me is when the Lightning are trailing after 40 minutes of play, they are 2-9 this season.
Nice.
So you got to get back to what we've seen, scoring fast, scoring early, getting a lead, and closing it out. So that is one trend I'm seeing, and I'm not a huge fan of it. So
yeah, let's see if we can buck those trends at home. A couple of tough home games coming up for the Lightning, though. On Tuesday, which is tomorrow, so as the episode's coming out, you guys will be able to hear our thoughts of the game on tomorrow. Back in Amalie Arena, the Carolina Hurricanes at Tampa Bay Lightning on Tuesday at 7 p.m. And then the Bruins will go to Amalie as well on Thursday at 7 p.m. And then the Lightning will go back on the road for a Saturday night game in New Jersey against the Devils at 7 p.m. So we got Hurricanes, Bruins, Lightning. Each are spaced out 2 days apart. Nice little schedule. Do we think the Lightning will bounce back? And I'll answer my own question. I will do that. And I think they will bounce back. I think the Lightning will win the first 2 home games and lose to the Devils. So I think that's what they're going to do. I think this week we'll get multiple Braden Point goals is what I'm going to predict. Multiple Braden Point goals for the Lightning. 2-1, lose to the Devils.
Joel?
I'm going to go 2-1, and I think we will lose to the Bruins. I just saw they're on a 4-game losing streak as well, so it's like, which loser is going to be less of a loser? And
yeah, the Sharks hadn't won a game at home since November before they beat us. They were 1-7 going into that game.
So I'd like to win that coin flip, but I don't know. I don't know if luck's on the side of the Lightning right now. I think they beat Carolina. I think they beat the Bruins. But yeah, I think they probably lose to the Devils there. But I'm gonna say 2-1. I'm gonna say give me a Zegmas goal.
Wow.
He was ball. The one. I mean, one guy that stuck out to me this weekend was him.
Really?
Making. He had a couple solid feeds that didn't end up, turn into goals, but set up some quality scoring chances. Was able to keep the puck in the opposing team's zones. Man, he was battling. I would love to see him get a goal. He's looking for his first of the year. Have it be this week when I predict them.
That'd be a heck of a call. Will.
This pleases Zegmas.
Speaking of having we want to have a heck of a week, man. Bucs playoff game. So yeah, let us know your thoughts on this Bucs playoff game. Do you guys think the Buccaneers will beat the Commanders, or is the Buccaneers season going to end this Sunday night? Let us know. Let us know how you guys feel. Your favorite Mike Evans memory in the comments. Let us know what your favorite Mike Evans memory is. Mine's got to be that touchdown in Lambeau Field 2020. It was a beautiful night.
Favorite yard of this 1,000-yard season?
The one-handed catch. Oh, wait, no. This 1,000-yard season.
Mm-hmm.
One of those ones you got against Carolina last week that were all 1-yard touchdowns. I'll take it. When they were chanting Bucky and they threw it to Mike Evans instead, that was funny to me. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, comment down below, hit the like button. Thank you guys. If you're on Spotify, hit the follow button, hit the 5 stars. Share the podcast with a friend if they're looking for some Buccaneers content or Lightning content or Rays when it happens. Let us know your thoughts. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, and we hope you guys have a beautiful and blessed night.